She found a business card in his pocket. Vice President, Mason Enterprises. Her eyes locked on his. "You're not who you said you were," she whispered. But what happened next will shock even those who thought they'd seen everything. But first, let's go back to the beginning. The scent of bleach clung to Tyler Mason's hands like a second skin, a far cry from the imported colognes he used to collect like rare coins. At Meadow Ridge Community School, he wasn't a name anymore. He was just a task. Empty the bins, wipe the chalk dust, unclog the sink in the boys' restroom. No one asked where he came from. No one asked why a man with clean-cut features, an Ivy League jawline, and eyes that had known too much luxury for too long was pushing a mop cart past trophy cases and spelling bees. And that was the point. At 27, Tyler had watched boardrooms bend for his surname. Women laugh too hard at jokes they didn't hear, and doors open before his hand ever reached the knob. But love, real love, had always slipped through the cracks, dressed in politeness, dripping in expectation. So he stripped it all away. The suits, the car, the legacy. In its place, he wore navy coveralls with a frayed name patch stitched on like an afterthought. Ty. He ate lunch in the custodian's break closet, sitting cross-legged between boxes of toilet paper rolls and a microwave with a melted keypad. And he watched who smiled at whom, watched who said please to the lunch servers, watched who looked past him like he wasn't there. And then there was her. Amanda Reynolds didn't look past people. She looked through them, curious, open, disarming in a way that wasn't soft but steady. She was 25, barely older than the kids she taught, yet spoke like someone who'd lived 3 lives and still believed in good. Her hair was always a little windblown by the time she reached the staff lounge. Her outfits mismatched in a way that suggested intention, not carelessness. And she always noticed him. The first time, it was when he changed the light bulb in her classroom. She thanked him like he'd saved the day. The second time, she offered him a granola bar when his stomach growled louder than the floor buffer. "You okay in there?" she'd called through the door, laughing. Each exchange chipped away at the cynicism Tyler wore like armor. It wasn't just that she was kind. It was that she didn't seem to care who he was, or more importantly, who he wasn't. And for the first time in a long time, Tyler didn't feel invisible because of his disguise. He felt seen despite it. Rain clattered against the school's aging windows, soft and steady like a whispered warning. Tyler stood outside the cafeteria, his back pressed against the brick, pretending not to notice how soaked his sleeves were getting. Then the canopy shifted, blue nylon, patched at the edge, and Amanda appeared, holding out her umbrella like she was offering shelter from more than just the weather. She didn't speak, just tilted her head and waited for him to step underneath. When he did, their shoulders brushed, and the silence between them wasn't awkward. It was easy. That's how it always was with her. Amanda never probed, never treated him like he owed an explanation for why a man who could quote Steinbeck and fix jammed lockers without a manual was cleaning floors for a living. She simply offered warmth in the places others left cold. When he sliced his hand on a cracked tile in the science wing, she didn't call for help. She crouched down beside him, first aid kit in hand, wrapping his fingers in gauze like she was repairing something more than skin. "You should take better care of yourself," she said softly, and Tyler had to look away to keep his voice from betraying him. He fell for her in fragments. The way she used kids' drawings to decorate her classroom walls. The way she listened, really listened, when a student spoke. The way she didn't flinch when someone called her idealistic. She wore that word like a badge. But not everyone shared her grace. Vice Principal Dwyer, a man with a jaw too tight and eyes too quick to judge, liked to smirk when he passed Tyler in the hallway. "Mop boy," he muttered once, not quietly enough. Tyler didn't respond, but Amanda heard. She paused mid-step, turned to Dwyer, and said, "You must be very tired." The comment hung in the air, gentle but sharp. Tyler could have sworn Dwyer blinked first. Then there were the parents. Amanda had mentioned them once, laughing with a bitterness she rarely used. "One of them asked why I share my lunch break with a janitor," she said, sipping from her thermos like it didn't sting. "I told them, because he listens." And Tyler did, more than she knew. He listened to the rhythm of her footsteps, to the way her voice softened when she read to her class, to the moments of silence she filled with quiet courage. Each small gesture, each ordinary kindness, it carved out a space in him he hadn't known was empty. The morning air inside the school was still and faintly lemon-scented, the kind of quiet that existed only before bells rang and students poured in with their chaos. Amanda, with a stack of folders hugged to her chest, rounded the corner by the library and paused. There he was, Tyler, kneeling in front of the trophy case again. His hand moved in slow, deliberate circles, polishing the same brass plate he'd cleaned the day before. The hall didn't need it, but something about the way he worked, intensely focused, almost meditative, told her this wasn't about fingerprints. "You're not just a janitor, are you?" Her voice echoed gently, reverent as a prayer. Tyler froze, not in guilt, but in recognition, like he'd been waiting for this moment all along. He stood up slowly, placed the cloth back into his cart, and reached into the back pocket of his jeans. When he turned, the business card between his fingers looked foreign against his calloused hand. Amanda took it, reading the embossed letters. Tyler Mason, Vice President, Mason Enterprises. She didn't gasp, didn't drop the card. She just blinked, slowly, as if recalibrating. "I had to know," he said, his voice bare of apology, yet aching with something older. "If someone could care for me when I had nothing, no name, no money, just me." Amanda's grip tightened around the folders, not from anger, but from everything else. There was hurt in her eyes, not because he had lied, but because of the reason he'd felt he had to. "You didn't have to be poor for me to see you," she said at last, her voice quiet but steady. "You just had to be honest." Tyler looked down. The floor was spotless beneath their feet, and yet it felt unstable. He'd built this version of himself out of sweat and silence, hoping to find someone who saw past the surface. And he had. But in shielding his identity, he'd also shielded his trust. And now, all that remained between them was a business card and a question she hadn't asked. What comes next? She turned the card over, blank on the back, just like the space between them now. The silence that followed his departure from Meadow Ridge stretched longer than he expected. No texts, no emails, no messages relayed through curious staff or concerned parents. Amanda had vanished into the rhythm of school life as if he'd never swept its halls, never fixed that cabinet with the jammed hinge, never stood beside her beneath the dripping roof with nothing but an umbrella and unspoken affection between them. He didn't blame her. Honesty came late, and trust didn't always wait around to be salvaged. Then came Saturday, late morning. He was in his kitchen in a faded college t-shirt, staring at his untouched mug of black coffee when the knock echoed. 3 short raps, decisive, not hesitant. He opened the door. Amanda stood there, no makeup, jeans and sneakers. A navy blue hoodie he vaguely remembered her wearing on cold lunch breaks. She wasn't smiling, but she wasn't angry either. Her eyes searched his, not for wealth, not for answers, just for presence. "You're still you, right?" she asked. "The guy who fixed my cabinet and laughed at my bad coffee?" He nodded, almost afraid to breathe. "Then we can talk." She stepped inside like she had always belonged there. Not in the mansion, not in the world of company portfolios and private drivers, but in the space he hadn't let anyone touch for years. They sat at the kitchen table. No pretense, no velvet chairs or catered brunch trays, just toast, lukewarm coffee, and two people with everything stripped away but the core of who they were. Tyler listened more than he spoke. Amanda did the same. The weight of false starts gave way to a rare, quiet understanding, one built not on reputation or resumes, but on small kindnesses that hadn't needed a spotlight. He didn't offer her wealth. She didn't ask for it. Because sometimes, the most enduring love isn't born in grand gestures or fairy tale endings. It begins in the ordinary, in eye contact that doesn't flinch, in forgiveness that doesn't demand, in a question as simple and profound as, "Are you still you?" And when the answer is yes, the rest can follow. One honest word at a time.